story time about me and girls at Pony Club. So I've been to my local Pony Club camp for my zone about 9 or 10 times, but everyone there is super nice. But at State Pony Club camp, I've been there 4 times, and you have to qualify to go to State Pony Club camp. So I qualified on Dynasty, and this one year when I went, I didn't know anyone because no one from my local club qualified to go that year. So I got there heaps early in the day, and I'd already set up his stable. He had his bedding in it, and other people started showing up in the stable block. So I was like, oh, I'll go and introduce myself to some people and make some friends. This one girl I see, I go and introduce myself to her. I ask her what her name is, and she just asked me, she like doesn't introduce herself, she just asked me, how much is your horse worth? And I'm like, oh, he's not worth that much. And she's like, well, my dad just bought me this $60,000 horse just to come to this camp. And I was like, oh, okay, like that's good. But then I was thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, that's how this camp is going to go. It's going to be like spoiled Pony Club kids. So then later in the day, I'm in my tack room, like in the tack room that I'm allocated. And I'm just like cleaning tack for the next day because we're not riding the first day we show up. So I'm just getting ready to ride for the next day. And this girl shows up, she's like super late. And she asked me to move my gear because she needs the spot for her saddle like right at the front door because she needs to get her tack first. And she was like chucking a fit about it. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna move my tack for you, like you got here last, like if you wanted like a good spot for your tack, like you needed to show up earlier. But she just had a little tantrum over it and then just huffed off. But then at dinner later that night, I hadn't made any friends at that point, so I just sat by myself. But then this like Pony Club lady who was like running the Pony Club, she comes up to me, she's like, oh, like are you okay, like why are you sitting by yourself? And I was just like, oh, I don't know anyone. She's like, oh well, I want you to at least try to make some friends, like you can't be just sitting here by yourself. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll try to make some friends, I told her, just to make her go away. Anyway, the next night's dinner rolls around and I go up and I grab my food, and I see that this girl's like sitting at a table by herself, and it's like a table that seats 10 people. So I go up to her, I was like, oh hi, can I sit with you? And she's like, no, I have people coming to sit with me, those seats are taken. And I was like, oh, okay then. I was like, I went down to the other end of the table because it's like a big table. I was like, I'll just sit here down this end then. And she's like, no, all the seats are taken. I'm like, oh, okay. So then I go and sit by myself. But then, like the whole night went on, like we finished dinner, and then like the whole time she only had 2 other friends come and sit with her. So there was like 7 other seats in the table that no one sat at. So she was just like quite rude. She didn't want me to sit with her. So then after that, I just like stuck to myself. I like sat by myself for dinner like every night, and I did like all the activities by myself. Yeah, no one really wanted to be friends. I think maybe because my horse was not as like expensive or as nicer breed as their horses, but it was like in a really rich area. And then where my club comes from, it's not really that much of a rich area. But yeah, that's my experience of going to State Pony Club camp.